Right. And you mentioned medical office, and I'm glad you did, because that's really been a saving grace for some of these healthcare REITs this year. If you look at some of the numbers of medical office performance, you would have no idea that anything was out of the ordinary in the economy. Um, I mean, Ventus, one of the biggest healthcare REITs in the world, ticker symbol is VTR. Rent collection, their medical office rent collection was at 99% in the third quarter. That's pretty much a normal level. Physicians Realty Trust was over 99% when you consider the tiny amount that they agreed to defer earlier. So medical offices have generally held up really, really well. Not only are they essential businesses in most markets, I mean, even in the height of the pandemic in the worst affected parts of the US, people still needed to be able to see the doctor if they had to. So it's considered generally an essential business, and they actually got somewhat of a tailwind this year as essential or non-essential procedures were prohibited at many hospitals to prevent them from being overwhelmed. So you saw a bigger, I mean, there's already been kind of a gradual shift toward outpatient care as medical capabilities have increased in recent years. But the pandemic seems to have kind of accelerated this because they've been encouraging non-essential procedures to not happen in hospitals.
Well, I think that's a really interesting trend because you're right. That trend has been going on for the past few years. And I think that this may be one of the things that the pandemic accelerates is that feeling of feeling more comfortable in a smaller space versus going to a large hospital. It's usually tends to be more convenient and more, near your house or things like that. So I think that's something that was happening before that. And the other thing, which you and I have talked about before, is that with medical office, there just isn't that much of it that's held by REITs right now. So there really is a potential for so much of that to grow and for REITs to take a larger share there. We've talked about Physicians Realty Trust before, and the potential that they see just to keep acquiring businesses, because a lot of medical offices are owned either by the physicians themselves, like in small offices, or by other places that may not want to continue to own medical offices.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and the figure's about 15%. If you look at the entire medical real estate market, it's about $1.2 trillion in size. Only about 15% of that is currently REIT owned. And with medical offices, it's even lower. Like you mentioned, they're owned a lot by the physicians that operate them, by the hospital systems that they're affiliated with. And by selling these properties to REITs, the owners can really free up that capital to expand their businesses, to fortify their balance sheets. It's a really capital intensive business to own real estate if that's not your primary business. Yeah. So you're going to see a lot. The healthcare real estate market, especially medical offices, is really just ready for REIT consolidation. Just to I mentioned 15%, just to put that in perspective, hotels and shopping malls are 40 to 60% REIT owned, depending on what study you're looking at. So there's a lot of room for REIT consolidation in the healthcare space, just among the existing inventory. Forget about the long-tailed growth trends that we mentioned.